Are you going to wear those the whole review?
No.
Alright, good. So, The Giver. The movie, 18 years in the making since the book came out. They've been trying to get this movie. Jeff Bridges has been a part of the project. He's a producer. He is The Giver. And it's finally on the big screen.
Oh, yeah. This was an interesting take because we've both read this book. I think it was, what, sixth grade?
Sixth grade, yeah.
It was
required reading.
Yeah, as required reading, they noted a lot that, this required reading isn't always the best, but this is a book that the first book that was required that I actually somewhat enjoyed.
Yeah, one of the only ones that are actually good.
Yeah, and it was good. I mean, but it was interesting. I think the backstory of this movie, about the 18 years in the making, Jeff Bridges wanted his father to do it, but I think it was good that he got to do this movie because I think he was the greatest The Giver for sure.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges owns the role of The Giver. He brings his own feel to it that he kind of goes, he's really the same as the book, the character-wise, but he kind of puts his own spin on the personality of The Giver and what he does, so I thought that was really interesting to see in the movie.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising. I felt like if there's one place that they could come up short was not giving enough personality, but they actually gave him enough personality. He connected with Jonas in the film, who's the main character, played by Brenton
Thwaites.
Brenton
Thwaites, I think.
Can't remember his name because he's kind of an unknown actor, but again, like I say, that connection was pretty good. I felt like that was well done.
Yeah, you also have Meryl Streep in the movie, and Katie Holmes also plays a role in it, so you have a pretty good overall cast. So those are like the veterans, Bridges, Streep, and Holmes, and then you have the newcomers like Thwaites and a couple other guys that you never really heard of, so it's a good balance for the cast.
Yeah, and I think, overall, I think everyone did fine. I don't think there was any clear bad performances.
Yeah, there wasn't any. There was some spots where it wasn't great, but
right.
There wasn't anyone that you just didn't buy as a character.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the main people obviously did really, really well in this film. That's kind of what made it really good. But yeah, I mean, overall, let's talk about kind of the main story, the Giver, and kind of like how it connected to the book. I thought this movie did a pretty good job of showing the book to the movie or whatever. I thought that lots of scenes, that I can remember, were pretty well depicted at times. Other times, I couldn't really picture it, and looking at this movie, it kind of helped me. But I think this movie, in a nutshell, did a pretty good job of relaying the book.
Yeah, I think they had to change some things to make it fit for a Hollywood movie. Obviously, you have to make some casualties, but overall, I think it related to the book fine. There's only a couple scenes that I knew were different, but otherwise it felt like the book again to me. So I think it was fine with the book relating to the movie, because they had the author involved with the movie. She was really supporting this movie, so that's great to hear.
And I like that part of it. I think that's
really important.
That was very important to this movie to make it a good movie. But basically, what made me like this movie, and we can go at it, but again, what I liked about this movie was the emotional feel. I felt like, even though you might have not felt the emotional feel, I felt it. I felt like, I was connected to a person like Jonas in this film. I felt like I was connected to The Giver. I felt like that part of the story was really well done in my eyes, and I felt like I wanted more. When I came out of The Hunger Games, which is a similar movie to this, with the, kind of Harmony Land that they try to create, I came out the same way as a theater. I wanted more. I wanted to know what happened because I was so interested in, what could happen.
Yeah, okay, so basically we have different opinions on this movie, which we haven't really gotten at yet, but this is where I disagree with the emotional part, because actually The Hunger Games is actually the same analogy I was going to use, because I was actually disappointed in the first Hunger Games movie, because I thought the certain parts in the book that were really important, they rushed through in the movie, and I felt overall it was just leading up to a sequel, which I don't think The Giver is leading up to a sequel. How could it? So I don't really see why you had to rush through it. The movie's, I think, 94 minutes, which I think is a fine runtime. But the thing I did with the emotional that you felt, I didn't feel it because I felt like the movie, the pacing was slow in the beginning with the setup, which I liked, but then they fast-forwarded through the important part where Jonas is realizing the community he's living in is a lie and everything. I feel like he just went like that. All of a sudden he was on the run. So I felt like that transition was way too quick. And that's why I wasn't emotionally involved with the scenes.
Yeah, I can understand that part because there was definite pacing issues at time. But, that's hard to do with a book and a movie switch. I mean, you're going from, a long book to, an hour and a half of, movie. So it's kind of hard to do that. But, I felt like, especially the beginning, the setup was really good. And I thought the ending was pretty good. I mean, the ending was a little bit worse, and I felt like there could have been some stuff added, but I felt overall, like I said, I felt that connection, I felt that coming out of the theater knowing that, you know, I felt emotional with this movie. I felt it was good in that aspect.
Yeah, with the setup, the only complaint I have is they have this, if you read the book, and if you haven't, they have a certain set of rules that they all follow. And I felt like in the book, everyone was like, serious, you have to follow the rules, we were raised like that. In the movie, everyone around Jonas like kind of breaks the rules with him. They're like, yeah, it's okay, it's a rule. Even his father kind of breaks the rules once, and they're like leading Jonas onto that. And I was like, Jonas is supposed to be going through this, and you guys are supposed to be like trying to stop him, but they kind of allow him to go through this change without really stopping him. And so I thought that was a little weird for me. But then the ending I thought could have been much better because they just kind of, once it got to the ending, they didn't really show what happened.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean by wanting more.
Yeah, I wanted more of the aftermath. All they did was kind of show it for a couple seconds, then they went back to Jonas. So I thought the ending was a little anticlimactic for me because the whole movie was leading up for the big realization at the end, and it just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, but we both like the memory aspect of this and the black and white stuff.
Yeah, the black and white. Certain scenes are black and white, certain are in color because the people see black and white, and slowly Jonas sees color. I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah, and the memory part I thought that was really good. I thought that was cool. I think they could have done more of that, though. I think, even if they shortened up the beginning maybe a little bit more, and maybe, they need to maybe make that more, that memory, that connection between the Giver and Jonas to see a little bit more of what was going on. I felt like, they did a few bad, they did a few good, but overall, I mean, there wasn't enough of that. And I think I needed to see more of his discovery of what was going on.
Yeah, that's exactly my problem with the movie is they rushed the Giver and Jonas's connection. I felt was forced off. I know when you're sharing memories, obviously you're going to connect some, but I don't think they had enough visits with the bad memories of the past for Jonas to just all of a sudden decide he needs to do something. They probably saw about 2 things that were like bad things from our world that Jonas saw, and then Jonas was on his way. I thought if they explored that more and showed why Jonas was upset instead of just jumping because they needed to get to the ending, I thought it would have been a lot better for me as a movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I think The Giver was a decent movie. Like I say, my main gripe about this movie is you look at The Hunger Games, you look at Divergent, and those are 2 kind of teen movies with the harmony set, as I said, we said before, but I feel like this movie's going to get a little overshadowed. I think, the fans of The Hunger Games, there's so many of them. There's just, The Hunger Games is one of those things that, especially recently, has gotten pretty big, while The Giver's kind of, it's big still, but it's not as big as it was, when it first came out. Yeah. So I think, it's going to get a little overshadowed. Hunger Games is more of the big brother, while, this movie is a little bit more of the little brother, I feel. It's not going to get looked at as much, which is kind of a shame, because I do think this is a good story. I think it's a good... and it's a decent movie to follow with it, but, it's unfortunate, but I do like this movie a lot, and I do suggest seeing it. That's why I'm going to go ahead and give it a rating of 7.75 out of 10. Can't quite get it to the 8, but again, it's a great movie. I enjoyed this. It's a high 7.75 for me. I really like this story. You're going to get emotionally attached. At least most people are. You're going to either like this or not like this movie. Let's just face that.
Yeah, there's 2 sides to it. You're going to really dig this movie and get emotionally involved, or you're just kind of, it's whatever. But again, with the Hunger Games thing, I feel like it's really a shame for The Giver, because the Giver book did come first, so this idea really is The Giver's. So it's really a shame that the movie couldn't come out first, so now the Hunger Games has all the attention. But The Giver to the Hunger Games, really I can relate Hunger Games, Divergent, and The Giver. They're all kind of the same teen storyline, which I feel like it's fine with the movies as long as they're pulled off well, but I feel like The Giver went through the same steps that the Hunger Games did with the character development, and just overall the movie just felt rushed to me. It was the runtime again was fine, but certain elements they rushed over, then certain elements they stretched out, and again I didn't get emotionally attached because of that, and I didn't have enough time with Jonas and The Giver to really care that much, and so for that reason, unfortunately I can't even get it to fresh 5.5 out of 10. I really wish I could. I really wanted to like the movie while I was watching it, but overall it just wasn't enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. The supporting actors, all that stuff, some of that was a little rushed, and the movie was rushed. So again, like I say, it's really a matter of opinion. Again, you're going to like or hate this movie. It's just one of those things, and it's just difference of opinion. I'm actually happy that we both disagreed and everything, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of the book The Giver, definitely recommend checking it out for you. For sure, everyone else, depends on where you're at with this teen franchises, where they're going. If you're a fan of Hunger Games Divergent, yeah, you'll like the movie.
I would definitely suggest if you like those movies.
Yeah, so if you like what you've seen here, drop a like down below for more videos. J&J Reviews.
Signing out.